Hello, welcome today. Today is Thursday. That's April. What we're working on today is a 2024 Toyota 4Runner. It's fairly new, low miles, but what I got going on today is the stock steering rack is out, and a customer brought me this kit right here from Toyo-Steering. What this is today is this is a modified Toyota Tundra rack. I don't know what year it is, what they obtained it for, but I fought like hell to get the stock steering rack out and the new one in. And there is these are instructions right here, you know, kind of giving you some guidelines on how to remove all your stuff and how to put it in. So I want to make some pointers for you guys so you guys can understand how to do this a lot easier than the struggle I went through. So let's get into it. All right, so up under here, there are things these instructions don't tell you how to get the old rack out. Now you can see right here, I just got the modified Tundra rack just set into place. What you need to do in order to fish this rack out, you got to loosen the diff bolts here on the front here and here, and then the front housing is going to drop down a little bit. You need a little bit of clearance there. Take your serpentine belt off. The reason for that, the compressor, the AC compressor, has to get unbolted from the block. There's 4 bolts there. There's a stud you got to pull out with the E8 Torx bit. That comes out, then you can take the compressor, and there's a you can see right here I have a hook right around this line right here, and this is actually helping hold the compressor up in the air. This is the oil filter housing. You have to remove this as well. There's a couple of bolts, which are these guys right here, 2 studs, and I think there was another one too. I don't know, I've been kicking, oh, this guy. So 2 studs and a bolt, you got to get those off in order to get that housing free. Now it's not necessary to drain that much oil. I didn't even do it. I just undid this a little bit, let the filter stuff come out. There's going to be a little bit of stuff coming out right here, you know, oil, and there is a gasket which is over here on the floor. It's a steel gasket, you can reuse it. A couple other things to note is you have the 2 steel lines that feed into the oil filter housing. There are 3 bolts you got to remove. One is, it's kind of hard to tell. You got one up there. There was this bracket right here, and that one had a stud going back from right there. And I know there was a 3rd one. I don't know why that thing just cut out. But that thing, so there's 3 bolts holding the steel line on it. Once you do that, you can leave the rest of this hooked up in there, and then again you're going to help hold this up with that line. And what I did was I got it wrapped around the front of the bumper, tied up in there, and that's what's holding it up. Now when you take the stock steering rack off, you have to remove the inner tie rods. There's no way around there. You got to pull that out, and then you got to actually turn the shaft, I believe it was towards the driver's side, and then the shaft's going to get sucked out this way, and then you can pull the rack out through this way, and then you can pull this bigger portion out. Now what you also got here, you're going to have 2 lines, a return and the feed line. Those are 17 millimeters. Those are really easy to get to. You just feed your wrench right through here, and then there's a piece of steering shaft as well. So you got to remove this. This is what's attached to the rack. It's a bolt here and here, 12 millimeters. You just take those off. This will slip off. You can remove this after the rack's pulled out, and then there's a new one that comes in the kit. So I'm going to show you side by side and why they do this. Let's find this right here. So see how this one right here is skinnier than this little bellowed section? If you don't get this piece right here, it's going to rub on the inner driver frame rail. And it says in the instructions you can notch out the frame, or you can get this piece. Let's see. Now I am not going to lie, the bushings, they're these steel eccentric, well they're aluminum machined bushings that replace these rubber style of bushings. So they're kind of cammed, they're offset, and you can spin the whole thing, and it sucks because they don't come perfectly centered out of the box. They're zip tied on, but you gotta, after you get them in there, you gotta rotate them into position, and it's extremely hard to grab those and rotate them. So what I ended up using was this oil filter wrench right here. This is like, it matched the curvature on that. I was able to grab those, and what I was doing was I was coming right up here through the bottom and using my little tapered punch right there, and I was going up and lining the holes with that guy and this one as well. So that's very important. What I did was I actually started with this bolt on the driver's side, and then I worked my way into this one. And what I did notice is even after moving the cams all the way and trying to index them right, the hole still wasn't lined up just right. So I ended up taking, where is it? One of my favorite homebrew tools that usually goes out on the King of the Hammers in the race bag is my clawless clawfoot hammer. And I had to get the bolt up through the top and actually tap it down like this carefully without beating up things. So that's how I got that bolt to go in. So that'll get you your rack at least into place to start with, and that's going to be the hardest part. Now after that, you could put the inner tie rods on the outers, and then there's another step involved with this. So we're keeping this video short and sweet, don't need to show you a whole how-to, but this kit right here came with the inner tie rods and then the outers, and I guess these are supposed to be the bigger Tundra tie rod ends. So these have, up under here, these got a bigger taper than what the stock knuckle has right here. So this has to be reamed here. It says it's in the instructions 1:10 ratio reamer. I don't know, but I ended up having a reamer right here that I had in my box. So what I did was I test fit a hole in here with that reamer, and then I plugged the tie rod into it to make sure it would fit before I go and just botch this customer's knuckle off. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what you're doing right there. So I still got a lot of more work to do. I'm going to get more through it through the day, and I'll give you an update on what's going on, but I really wanted to share those steps that you have to take to get that rack out, because it is not explained in those instructions. And then another thing is, once these pieces are out, it is super hard to get that rack back in. And what I ended up doing was kind of almost a reverse procedure on how it came out. Let's slide up under here. Let's get you guys some light if I can. What I ended up doing was I put this end in first so I could shove it through this hole right there. And as you can see, then let me backtrack. I had to have this shaft actually sucked in towards this area right here. Then after I stuffed it in, then I grabbed the input shaft and rotated it. That way the rod would actually suck towards the passenger side. Then I was able to get this side up in here, and even then I still had to use a soft rubber mallet and actually hit on the body to get it to go in, because these little points here, the way the body is, it's just super tight. And there's another piece too. They show you in the instructions. So the original pads on the frame that these bushings sit on the bottom side, you have to grind them off. So here in the instructions, they're kind of showing you right there. So it's kind of hard to see on a black and white illustration, but you have to get in there and grind that smooth. Now the way I did that was I used the DeWalt grinder right here, and I was able to go these pockets right here. This is big enough for you to fit a grinder in. As long as you take the guard off and the handle, you can get in there and do that. And you can see right in there how, where my finger is, this is where I took that little pad down, and that pad was maybe 3/8 of an inch tall. It took a little while because it was a solid pad, but I got that, you know, off of there nice and smooth. But yeah, you can see the rack, how it's in there now. So yeah, that's about it in a nutshell. So there is extra work required. This kit is not as easy to put in, and I really feel that the aluminum bushings weren't I think they could have been offset a little bit more on the hole, or maybe it's this frame on the vehicle is just slightly off. I mean, who knows? But when I went to go drop this passenger side bolt in, it was just like, it seemed like it was 1/8 of an inch off, no matter how I indexed that other side. And I kept rotating the cams to try to, like, you can see the rack, it'll shift and move side to side, and then I would move the bushings on the passenger side. So it is an absolute pain in the ass. And then after I got it as close as it would go, I used that modified hammer and whacked it on the top, and it finally beat through that thing. So I don't feel good about it. I'm sure this is an upgrade for strength, you know, like it says in the instructions. The customer's the one that brought this to me. I didn't even know you could do this. This is a newer kit for me, you know, to go and put in as a first time. But for serviceability wise, I'm not going to give this a good rating at all, because taking this rack out is absolutely going to not be a fun job at all. Yeah, it's just nuts and bolts after that, but you know what? This is not an easy thing to take out. And I mean, I've been doing this 17 years and I custom do a lot of different things. I can tell you this thing right here is an absolute pain in the ass. So if I was doing this on like a race car kind of thing, you know, even though this is not, like maybe one day this got turned into a 4600 car for Ultra 4, I would not do something like this, because it is extremely hard to get this piece in, and I guarantee it's going to be harder to pry it outwards. So that's just my food for thought. I'm sure it's going to be exactly what the customer wanted, and if you're interested in that kit, you know, I showed you on the cover page what it was. That's where you can go get the thing. It looks like it was about $1,700 retail, you know, plus tax and the freight. So I'm not going to say it's a bad part. The other thing that happened too is when I got, so it's a refurbished Tundra rack is what it says in the instructions, but the end where the tie rod goes in, when I got it out of the box, it looked like there was some heat marks on there from the rack being modified. I don't know how they do it, but where the threads are, they were boogered up on the passenger side. So luckily I had a 22mm tap. I was able to clean it right up, but I couldn't get the tie rod out of the box to even thread into it. So I mean, I'm sure that's not, they're not all going to be that way, but make sure to look at that before you go and shove your rack in, so you're not trying to shove a tap in while it's under the car. So, you know, that's kind of it in a nutshell on how to throw one of these in. I'm pretty sure, you know, the Tundras, I mean, the Tacomas are the same way on the install. The frames look pretty much the same. There's not a lot of videos out there. I found one on YouTube on the guy doing it on a Tacoma. He kind of explained the cams pretty good. Another thing he mentioned that I will mention too, you can undo the body mounts on the sides, the engine mounts. There's, I think, 4 12mm bolts on each side. If you wanted to, you can lift the engine up a little bit. That would give you a little bit easier access to get to this thing, to work on this rack easier. So it's kind of your choice at this point. I think next time I will go with the lift the engine method up. I think it'll be a little bit more cleaner method to do, but we'll find out and see if that works next time, if I choose to do one of these, because this job is not fun. So all right, I'm gonna get more work done. I'll give you guys an update. All right, progress is going a little bit farther. Let's go show you the next problem. Yeah, straight up in there, this is that new steering joint. As you can see, the area circled in red, that's where this thing's rubbing. So I mean, it's not a lot, but at least in the center area, right up in there, I gotta get there and clear that stuff out. So this shaft, it was easy to hook up on the top, but on the bottom not so much. So now I gotta pound this sucker back out and then get up in there and clean up that frame, you know, the best I can with something. So it just depends on what I can reach in there to get. So let me get that off and I'll show you what I did. All right, I got a little update. So I got these done. So I had to, you know, ream these guys out. And then I just did it with a reamer right here and a drill, very slow. And then they give you these little spacers to put on the top. And then you put the castle nut on. I still got to put the pins in, but you can see everything's in here. I don't know if I mentioned, but the lines that went on there, they went on really easy for the most part. What I had to do is after I screwed in the feed line, not the pressure line, but the little feed line, or sorry, return, little nipple that sticks up with the rubber hose. It was a lot closer to the frame than what the stock 4Runner rack was. So after I got it screwed down, I had to slightly bend it away from the frame in order to get the hose to jam on there. Other than that, it was really easy. And then the high pressure line, the molded steel line, in order to get that to drop on, I had to grab that steel line right about here where my fingers are. And the reason for that was I had to grab that line, actually pull it out just a little bit, and then that thing lined right up and it dropped right in there. So there was nothing weird about that at that point, you know. And then grinding the bottom of that smooth to get the rack tightened went right on. And then the oil filter housing was really easy to go back on. Same with the AC compressor. And again, remove that so you can actually get that stock bolt to slip up. Shaft, I actually had to do some stuff with the shaft. Let's see if we can crawl under here. Might not be able to. Oh, yep, right there. So you can see right up in there, I actually had to get the flap disc out because those ears right there, you can see the section where, you know, I grounded, it's unpainted. And that was rubbing, so it took about maybe 20 minutes with the flap disc going nice and easy to do that, to fix that. But it really wasn't that big of a deal to do, and a grinder did fit right up in there, so you don't got to go pull a bunch of stuff off to do that. I only put it on and off twice because I kept checking it. It's really easy to do. And then as far as centering the rack goes, this is really easy. So up here at this end right here, there's a flat position machined into the shaft. It only slips on one way. So then what I did is, inside the cab, I put this guy on with a seat belt to hold it straight. And then after, then what I did is, before these boots went on, is I measured from the outside lip to where the shaft was poking out, and I centered them out exactly. I got them within a 1/16 of an inch. So that's how I centered, you know, the rack to the steering wheel to put it in there. One thing that still may have to happen is, in the notes, in the instructions, it does say you may have to trim this inner tie rod down to get this to suck in more for alignment. So currently right now I have the tie rods fully buried into here. It won't go any farther because this is too long. Now, I've ran into this with a lot of lift kits with, like, you know, the Toyotas and Chevys. At times you have to, you know, cut down, you know, the shanks on those to get the outer tie rod in to screw in farther. That's not too weird. It doesn't really do anything, but I'm gonna leave that up to the alignment shop only if they need to do it. So I eyeballed this thing. It's pretty close and straight on the tires, but I still think it's gonna need a little bit more. But I'm gonna let them do that. And I just changed out the power steering pump as well. That's really easy. If you've never done one of those, there's not a whole lot to it. I'll go take a peek and show you if this will work. You have a high pressure fitting bolt right there. You take that off. Right here you have the feed hose right here. It's just a clamp. Pull it off, pull the hose right out. It's really easy. And then I hope I didn't click this in. To get that, there we go. Anyways, you got two little you got these plastic electric clips. You just, you know, push it with your fingers, pull them out. There's two of those. And then up in the front, if this will work, I don't know if we're gonna get it, but right here on the housing, you just put a socket right up through the front. There's two 14mm bolts, one on the top, one on the bottom. They pull straight out through the very front of the pump, so that you don't have to pull the pulley off or anything weird like that. It's a really quick change. So what I still have to do is put fluid in there and bleed this thing out. But other than that, you know, I think we got a completed job here. So I hope the customer's going to be happy, and I hope you guys maybe, you know, got some insight on whether you want to do this Tundra rack modification. And let's see. Again, this is who it was from, Toyo-Steering right here. So these are the guys that made this kit. These are some applications it can go on. There's your kit contents. So, you know, we're gonna find out if this thing's any good or not, but I can tell you is after putting, you know, all the parts side by side next to each other, there is a significant increase in size on the two racks, the inner and outer tie rods. I mean, it is a large upgrade. And then if you're wondering too, how does the knuckle look, you know, with material left after you get in there and, you know, hone that thing out, it still has anywhere from, you know, almost 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it looks like it's good enough. So we're gonna find out though. And as far as time reaming them out, you know, you have to do a couple things. So what I had to do to get the drill to fit in there is I had to take the brake caliper off, hold it up, take the rotor off, and then the dust shield backing plate, actually had to pull it towards the outside of the vehicle just a little bit and barely bend it. So that way the drill would get up in there as straight as I could, you know, because I tried to do it at first with all the brake stuff on there, and it was just going to look like it was going to be crooked. So do yourself that favor, and then when you go and put everything back together, rotate the rotor, make sure it's not, you know, scraping against the dust shield, because that'll make a really big squeaking noise and you'll think all kinds of stuff's happened. I get a lot of diagnoses for bad brakes and suspension noise. That's what it ends up being. So just do yourself a favor, check the plate. If it is touching, you just bend it. You can even do it with a screwdriver. It's a really easy thing. So thank you for watching this video. If you got any questions, shoot them to me, because there's probably stuff I overlooked, and I'm here and happy to help you. I'm putting this video out there because there was really next to no information about this kit, how to do it, how to even get the rack out. So I hope this helps some of you guys, and I hope you have a great day. Easter's coming up. Have a great Easter, you guys. Bye.